back to Angop's international highlight, this time with the efforts of the world power to defeat the threat of terrorism. Terrorism threatens everyone, and the world powers are seeking to contain the phenomenon. Now, the Arab League has joined the coalition against the extremist group, but the Syria intervention seems to be controversial. John Kerry, U.S. Secretary of State, met in Jeddah with the foreign ministers from 6 countries of the Council: Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Qatar, Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Oman, and with representatives of Egypt, Jordan, and Iraq. According to analysts, the war against the Islamic State could last 3 years, and the military operation defended by the U.S. President Barack Obama could only be brought to an end by the U.S. President himself, a Washington government source told the New York Times. To the source, Obama is in favor of an unprecedented military intervention that, rather than just using drones like in Pakistan and Yemen, will not include troops on the ground like in Iraq when Saddam Hussein was top-led, but will, however, take full command of the military operation. He will not make decisions behind the scenes like in Libya when Muammar Gaddafi was ousted. We are going to systematically degrade their capabilities. We are going to shrink the territory that they control, and ultimately, we are going to defeat them. As he spoke, the outlines of his strategy were taking shape, with the diplomacy seeking lasting commitments from the Arab countries' leaders. At the same time, Sheikh Hagel, the defense secretary, was landing in Ankara to try to push reluctant Turkey President Recep Erdogan into the international coalition he is seeking to form. The U.S. needs the Turkey military bases. Obama set to himself a condition to intervene: get the engagement of the countries of the region where the Islamic State operates. 4 days ago, the Arab League countries decided to support a strategy of combat against jihadists who have captured a large portion of the Syrian and Iraqi territories where they have proclaimed an Islamic caliphate. The Arab countries' foreign ministers have agreed on measures to face the terrorism group, including the Islamic State, said the Arab League Secretary General Nabil al-Arabi, following a high-level meeting in Cairo, Egypt. The final draft underlines that there is a consensus among the member countries about the need to resort to all measures to fight terrorism at political, security, and ideological level. In fact, the involvement of the Arabs in the coalition is considered crucial, mainly due to the last stage of Obama's strategy. The hardest and most controversial stage is described by the New York Times, that of attacking the Islamic State in Syria. The first stage is underway, and Obama had made it public. It started on August 8, with bombardment on Islamic State position seeking to halt the advances of the extremist group at a time of great political fragility in Iraq, where a representative government with Sunni and Shiite minorities is still to be installed. Early this week, appointed Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi was finishing the formation of the unity team, which analysts cited by Reuters say were the last attempt to detoxicate a poisoned political system that collapsed under the leadership of Nouri al-Maliki. The protections to minorities is the objective of the first phase, as well as the security of U.S. embassies and consulates in Iraq, which became vulnerable with the withdrawal of the last troops in 2011 after years of the occupation that followed the war against Saddam Hussein. The second phase will come into effect with the functioning of the new government, as the U.S. participation, said the Times source, will include training and counseling of the Iraq forces and the Kurd combatants and Sunni tribes, and supply of arms. The third phase, that is expected to be hard and controversial, is the destruction of the jihadist army in its Syrian sanctuary. Obama warned that destroying the Islamic State will not be swift. A Pentagon source confirmed that there is a 36 months engagement. However, there is a risk of someone to benefit from the bombardments, Bashar al-Assad, for example. but there is also the risk of someone to oppose them as the time comes. The question that remains unanswered is about the functioning of the coalition. How will it work? Among the allies are Jordan and Saudi Arabia, who have a great influence on the Sunni tribes that have been financing the Syrian rebels in the struggle against the Syrian president, who is an Alawite, a branch of the Shiite. Saudi Arabia opposes the prospect that bombardment of the Islamic State turns out to favor Assad. The United Arab Emirates also considered the possibility to join the Iraq intervention. How will the intervention of supporting Arab countries with different agendas on the region be coordinated against the jihadist threat? The U.S. Secretary of State, John Kerry, met in Saudi Arabia with the heads of diplomacy of the countries of the Gulf Cooperation Council and with Arab nations. The U.S. goal is the formation of a broad international coalition to fight against the Islamic State. Almost every single country has a role to play in eliminating the Islamic State threat and the evil that it represents, Kerry said. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you in our next edition.